Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Kini News, the show that brings you today's biggest stories. Now today, Pakatan Harapan has postponed announcing their prime ministerial candidate, although the coalition had already achieved a consensus on the matter.
Pakatan Harapan has not been able to announce its decision on a prime minister candidate as it needs to refer to its allies. In a Facebook live session this afternoon, the coalition chairperson Anwar Ibrahim apologised for missing yesterday's target for a consensus.
Keutamaan PH untuk memastikan agenda perubahan ekonomi rakyat dan tata kelola dan tadbir urus yang baik itu dipastikan. Lebih baik daripada yang pernah kita lakukan kerana pengalaman kita telah menunjukkan bahawa untuk meraih dukungan rakyat itu kita hadapi juga sedikit masalah.
Meanwhile, DAP has urged PKR to state its stand on whether the Pakatan Harapan Plus will nominate Dr Mahathir Mohamad as Prime Minister and Anwar Ibrahim as his deputy. In an interview with Malaysia TV today, DAP Organising Secretary Anthony Loke said this was the only combination for the two top positions currently being considered by the Harapan and its allies.
After Tun Mahathir and Shafi left, we had a meeting by Pakatan Harapan, the three parties. Immediately after that. So on that particular Saturday, which is last Saturday, we said that there was a decision by Pakatan Harapan. If we have exhausted option 1, if we cannot succeed on option 1, then our fallback position will be option 2. So as far as option 2 is concerned, it was an option already discussed by Pakatan Harapan, and that was already mentioned or discussed 2 weeks ago. If we cannot succeed on option 1, there was a fallback position on option 2, which is to let Tun Mahathir to be the Prime Minister for a short period of time, in this case 6 months, and after that Anwar will take over. So after that decision, we mentioned that it is now Anwar's call, whether he agrees to that or not. So the deadline was supposed to be yesterday, Tuesday.
Umno has admitted to the possibility of snap polls as the matter was being discussed during last night's Umno Supreme Council meeting.
Umno has discussed the course it would take on the possible snap polls, said Party Supreme Council member Anwar Musa. He, however, said that was a general discussion without further touching on the seat allocation for the polls. When met after the Supreme Council meeting yesterday, Anwar said the discussion generally touched on the party's directions and ways to strengthen its status, as well as the agenda as a core party for Malays and Islam. Earlier, UMNO Youth Chief Ashraf Wajdi Dusuki, who attended the Wings meeting, expressed that they were ready for the possible snap polls to take place anytime. While noting it is better to call for polls after the COVID-19 pandemic is over, he however said it is unavoidable for UMNO Youth if it is called earlier. He described that the government could be threatened by Pakatan Harapan, which continuously plays up with the sentiment of confidence against the government led by Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin. Last week, Singapore Straits Times reported Muhyiddin might call for snap elections by year-end after tabling an election budget. It was reported that Perikatan Nasional parties have agreed not to contest against each other in the next election and that UMNO and Bersatu have formed a technical committee to iron out seat allocations on June 7. Conversely, non-PN parties are not in favour of fresh polls as they currently believe they have the numbers to form a new government but are stuck haggling over who gets to be Prime Minister.
Now, here's some good news for job seekers as the government has given the green light to resume face-to-face job interviews.
The government will allow ministries, agencies and private sectors to conduct face-to-face interviews for the intake of new staff, says Senior Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob. Ismail said that the Public Services Commission SPA will come up with the standard operating procedures for this.
Dan SOP ini akan disemak oleh Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia, Majlis dan juga Majlis Keselamatan Negara bagi kelulusan. Jadi kita dah setuju, cuma SOP itu akan disediakan. Dan apabila kita meluluskan SOP ini kita akan edarkan sebagai rujukan kepada semua kementerian dan agensi-agensi yang lain.
Previously, the government did not allow face-to-face interviews, saying that it could only be done online or via teleconferencing. In the same press conference, Ismail said meetings, seminars, training and courses can now be organised with strict adherence to standard operating procedure. This includes no buffet meals for participants and a maximum number of 250 participants subject to the size of the hall where it is held. Ismail also said that hand sanitizers must also be provided by the organisers and to ensure that participants had face masks on throughout the seminar or training.
Malaysia continues to record a high number of recovery cases while new COVID-19 cases continue to decline.
Malaysia has recorded 10 new COVID-19 cases with no new death as of noon today, the Health Ministry said. This brings the total number of cases in the country to 8,515 with 521 active cases.
Ingin dimaklumkan, tiada kes import yang mendapat jangkitan di luar negara dilaporkan hari ini. Daripada 10 kes penularan di dalam negara, 3 kes adalah bukan warga negara, manakala 7 kes adalah di kalangan warga negara Malaysia.
Of the 7 Malaysian cases, 4 are linked to the old folks home in Kuala Selangor, 1 from the Tahfiz cluster in Selangor, 1 from Sarawak and another from a new emerging cluster identified in Sabah. Meanwhile, 140 full recoveries were recorded today, bringing the total number of recoveries thus far to 7,873, or 92.5% of cases. The death toll remains at 121.
The Federal Court has allowed for contempt proceedings against news portal Malaysia Kini and its editor-in-chief Stephen Gunn over readers' comments on the judiciary.
A 3-member panel led by Judge Rohana Yusof ruled today that the applicant, Attorney General Idrus Harun, had managed to establish a prima facie case for the application. Case management has been set for June 25th and the next hearing will be on July 2nd. Idrus was represented by Senior Federal Counsel Alice Loke this morning, while Malaysia Kini was represented by Counsel A. Surendra Anath. Idris had filed an ex parte application to initiate contempt of court proceedings with regard to readers' comments in an article. The 5 offending comments are from a June 9th article titled CJ orders all courts to be fully operational from July 1st. He alleged that the comments clearly meant that the judiciary committed wrongdoings, is involved in corruption, does not uphold justice and compromise its integrity. Loke this morning cited Section 114A of the Evidence Act 1950 to argue that the news portal was responsible for facilitating the offending comments. Loke contended that they scandalized the court as they indirectly attacked Chief Justice Tengku Maimun Tuan Mat, exposed the judiciary to public scandal and would lead to an erosion of public confidence in the judiciary. This is Malaysia Kini's first time being cited for contempt of court. In addition, the comment section of Malaysia Kini's report on the matter was disabled following legal advice.
Speculations have been rife that Osman Ali was in the midst of forming a new party known as Parti Keadilan Negara, but according to Osman himself, it's not true.
International Trade and Industry Minister Muhammad Osman Ali has dismissed speculations that he is forming a new political party. The former PKR Deputy President said the Pakatan National Government, in which he is part of, is focused on serving the people.
Jadi tidak timbul soal membuka parti politik baru pada ketika ini kerana tumpuan kita ialah memberikan khidmat kepada rakyat.
On March 11, Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin had announced during a media conference that Osman and 9 other MPs who left PKR had joined Bersatu. However, on May 23rd, Marzuki Yahya, who was Bersatu Secretary General at the time, revealed that Osman and the 9 had yet to submit application forms to join the party. Earlier today, Home Minister Hamzah Zainuddin said that the Registrar of Societies had not received any application from Osman about a new party. Speculations were rife that Osman and other former PKR leaders were in the midst of forming a new party known as Parti Keadilan Negara.
Coming after the break, the tension between North Korea and South Korea continue to rise following new developments. Don't go anywhere. Tensions between North and South Korea have risen this week after Pyongyang authorized the destruction of a liaison office on its side of the border.
North Korea on Wednesday rejected South Korea's offer to send special envoys to ease escalating tensions over de facto activity and stall reconciliation efforts. Pyongyang has also vowed to redeploy troops to the demilitarized border units. The announcements made by state media agency KCNA came a day after North Korea blew up a joint liaison office with the South near the north border town of Kaesong. In a statement, South Korea warned it would respond strongly if the North continues to worsen the situation. Tensions between North and South Korea have been escalating for weeks, prompted by defector groups in the South sending propaganda across the border. On Monday, South Korea's President Moon Jae-in offered to send his national security advisor Chung Eui-yong and spy chief Soo-hoon as special envoys. But Kim Yo-jong, the sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and a senior ruling party official, flatly rejected the proposal. In Monday's speech, which marked the 20th anniversary of the first Inter-Korean summit, Moon expressed regret that the North Korea-US and Inter-Korean relations have not made progress as hoped, but asked Pyongyang to maintain peace deals and return to dialogue.
China and India have accused each other of provoking fighting, in which at least 20 Indian soldiers were killed in a disputed Himalayan border area.
The Indian Army said on Tuesday that 20 of its soldiers were killed in clashes with Chinese troops at a disputed border site, in a major escalation of weeks-long standoff in the western Himalayas. China's foreign ministry confirmed there had been a violent physical confrontation on Monday in the border area. It made no mention of casualties, but India's foreign ministry said there had been casualties on both sides. An Indian government source said the troops had fought with iron rods and stones and that no shots had been fired. China and India have traded accusations over who was to blame for Monday's clashes in Ladakh, which came after military commanders held meetings to resolve the situation. Since early May, hundreds of soldiers have fronted up against each other at 3 locations, each side accusing the other of trespassing. It's the first casualties in 53 years to result from a clash between the two countries, which have been unable to settle the dispute along their border. India and China fought a brief but bloody border war in 1962, and this rust has occasionally led to flare-ups ever since. Border guards have had skirmishes and fistfights when patrols have confronted each other, but there has been no loss of life from clashes at the border since 1967.
Petaling Jaya Police Chief Nik Ezani Muhammad Faisal has brightened an elderly woman's day whom he last met 30 years ago with a surprise visit to her house this morning.
An elderly woman known as Ah Seong came to a surprise when Petaling Jaya Police Chief Nik Ezani Muhammad Faisal arrived in front of her house this morning. Nik Ezani told Malaysia Kini that he had last met the octogenarian 30 years ago and the woman had always brought him a pack of steam buns when he was small. A clip shared on the Petaling Jaya District Police Facebook page today shows the lady greeting Nik Ezani at her house. He's seen holding a plastic bag filled with steam buns. The clip has garnered more than 5,000 likes and at least 1,000 comments from netizens who were touched by his efforts. Nik Ezani told Malaysia Kini that he was delightfully surprised to learn that Ah Seong had been following his updates. For the record, Nik Ezani reported for duty as the Petaling Jaya Police Chief in February this year.
And that's all we have time for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'm Daniel Anthony. Stay safe, Malaysia. Thanks for watching.